Okay. Okay. So, buenas tardes, good afternoon, everyone here in SEC Catalunya, but also in the many other SEK schools who are following this conversation, to which I'm delighted to invite you, because invitation has been one of the words we've used most this morning. What I have to say first is this: I feel this is one of the, I'd say one of the best days in my professional career. I'm sitting here with two of my most admired friends in the world of education, two visionaries who've really changed the way we look into learning, into learning experiences, into classrooms, into education, generally speaking, into growing up, into being empowered, into becoming, into many, who've really built the conversation as we know it right now, and as we dream it should be, and are really charting the path for all of us who want to follow with as much passion as they have into what they do, not just what they say, but what they do, in charting a new future for all of you, our students, and all of us as learners. So it's my very distinct pleasure to, of course, introduce, first thing, Kiran Sethi. She's not just a worldwide renowned educator. She's the founder of a phenomenal school, Riverside School in India, and of the whole Design for Change movement, which is now present in over 60 countries, and over 2 million children in the world are learning differently thanks to her. I mean, how good is this? I mean, this is extraordinary. And of course, Mark Prensky, a friend of many, many years. Mark, I've learned so much with you. He's another visionary. He's not just the person who coined the term of digital natives, not just that was many years ago. He's done many more things after that, but particularly he's a connector. He has these ideas, he knows the people, he knows the world, and he likes to make things happen. And that's the reason why he's here, and he's here with Kiran, and we're here, and you're here, and you everywhere in other schools are here because of Mark. So thank you, Mark, for being here.
It's my pleasure.
And we're not just alone, but we are here in very good company with Daniela and Penny, fourth professor students of the school of SEC Catalunya, who will be moderating the panel. I would like just to say that this week, this empowerment week, this experience that we've called of creating an empowerment hub, is I think it's a gift, because this is being a week, I think, of possibility, of what if, of opportunity. That's some of the words that were again and again, up again and again. It's also a week of responsibility, of how do we harness all we learned during the past years of COVID? How do we harness so many learning that's happened around us, as near as now as this moment is here in the school at SEC. We need to do it. It's a responsibility because we're working for the greater good, and again, our children, as Kiran would say, we don't want you to be the best of the world, but the best for this world, to make this a better world, and to have that impact. So this is all we're talking about this week of empowerment. We'll be trying new things. We're co-creating with students, as it should be, what school should be about. And we're going to learn. We're learning. And with everything we're learning this week, we hope to be making invitations to other SEK schools, to other classrooms, to other students, to other groups of teachers, to continue co-creating the future of your learning experience with us, and the learning experience of us all. So with this said, I leave it to, I think, Penny, who will start the conversation.
Yes, well, the first thing I wanted to ask is, I know that this week you've been doing an experiment with first and second of ESO, and I wanted to know, what do you hope that the student will take away from this week? What will the student learn?
Well, I'm happy to start because I've hopefully brought everybody together here. I want people to understand that they are powerful. And what occurred to me is that when I grew up, I didn't have that much power. People didn't pay attention. They put me through a system. I went through it nicely, and I had a good time doing it. But the world has changed, and it's changing really fast. And we need to change to keep up. And we need to change how we go through our lives, what we do. And what I'm really excited about is that Kiran is starting this movement. I call it empowerment, and she calls it I can, which is even simpler. All you have to do is say, I can, and believe it, and then things will get better in the world, because you can make them better. And so what I hope you'll take away is just that I can attitude. And that's why we're all here.
Yeah, exactly what he said. You know, but really, it's as simple as that. I mean, we come here. I started this school because my son said I can't. He was 6 years old. And that's what schools do, right? Most schools, not the sex schools, but most schools set up our children for failure, tell them that they don't have a voice, that they should just be quiet and good. And as long as they're quiet and good, things will be fine. That's just not good enough. You're seeing the world we're living in. There's so much otherism. There's so much need for love and empathy and togetherness. And if you don't do it, who the hell else will? So it's the invitation for you. This is no longer a time for you to say, when I become older, when I'm rich, when I'm 18. No, the world needs you today. And today, no, you don't need permission to make it better. You have all the tools, whether it's in your mobile phone, whether it is in your heart, whether it's in your mind. You don't need permission anymore. We needed that. When I was growing up, many, many, many years ago, many years ago, we were always told to keep quiet. And as long as you were quiet, you got ahead. Your voices now matter more than any other time. Just open the newspaper or get onto your little phones where all you get your news. Everything you're hearing is about who's not good enough, who's not tall enough, who's not fair enough, who's not this enough, who's not that enough. And that you should be saying enough. That's not enough. Okay, so I think that's really what I want you to take away. At least you can try. You don't have to be good at everything, but the least you can do is I can try. I was telling the group I met in the morning, at 8 in the morning, they walked into school not knowing what they could be. What's the time now?
4.
At 4 in the evening, they have learned how to dance to a Hindi film song. I mean, how cool is that? So you really don't know what life will give you. You have to show up with your whole heart and your whole mind and say, I can try. So if you take that away, it'll be a good week. Then it'll be Christmas.
Yes, it always is. For me, it's like Christmas today, as I said. This is a phenomenal Christmas gift that we've all given ourselves, like to our community, that you've given ourselves, to our whole ICK community. So I think by the end of the week, we'll all feel empowered, I hope. And we'll feel empowered to continue empowering those around us. And that's big.
And let me paint a little picture that I use for a visual sense of what's going on. The way we have done growing up in the past is we've tried to put things into you. And you've gotten that from your parents, and you've gotten that from schools, and you've gotten that from the content and from your teachers. And that's great. It's good to have the past, some of that inside you. But what we're trying to focus you on now is bringing out things, bringing out what's inside you. Because every single person sitting here, from Petty to Daniela, who represents you all, to every one of you, has incredible things inside you that will come out and make a difference in the world. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to figure out what those things are. How can you add value to the world? What are you good at? What do you care about? What do you love to do? And then bring that into the world and raise your own kids to do that and continue as the world goes on. And that will make it get better, as opposed to the things that we see today that give us some pause to worry. You can make it better.
Okay, thank you. And so you mentioned that it's more about, instead of putting in information, kind of like helping us take out the information. And so would you say there's something the school can take away from this experiment you're doing this week too? Not just the students?
Well, we certainly hope so.
Oh, yeah.
We certainly hope that this will be the step, and I don't want to monopolize the conversation, so but I just think we hope it will be the beginning of a series of steps, and now I will give you your esteemed leader to say what you hope for.
Well, I definitely think that this is a week for the school to learn. I mean, this is a week where we're learning. We should always, when we come to school, when we come to any learning environment that's vibrant, that's positive, that allows for opportunities, for failure, for success, for everything, we have to come with this attitude that we all want to learn. So we're all learners. When we talk about our students, I don't just think about our students, kind of the smaller or the bigger ones, but I think about the teachers too, because we're all learners. So I think the school also learns. The school is a structure that should also be learning, because if we don't learn as a school, if we don't change, if we don't innovate, if we don't try new things, then how are we going to teach you to be innovative and try new things and be risk takers and do all the things that you're meant to be doing? Because you will say, well, this is incoherent, because the place where I'm growing, that doesn't model those. So as Kiran mentioned this morning, of course, you learn from what we do, and not by what we tell you, but what we do, but what we are, how we are, not what we tell you. So hopefully we're modeling this week that we want to learn as a school, as an institution, as a group of schools, and we want to learn with you.
Exactly.
She said she would do that.
And I will add, go ahead.
No, I just keep thinking that, I've learned one important lesson in life. Children might not listen to you, but they'll always mimic you.
Yeah.
And you better be worth mimicking. You have to be worthy of that. Any adult that is in front of children, and one day you will become adults in front of a child, you better be worth mimicking. Otherwise, what's the point? If you want to be anybody interested in you, be interesting. Be worthy of passions. Passions don't come to everybody. We have 7 billion people on the planet. We know 1,000 by name. Why is that so rare? What is it that is coming in the way of your passions being that one of those 1,000? So I think the question really is that you have to be worthy, because people talk about all the glory of passion, but they don't talk about the hard work that goes into passion, the stamina, the rough nights, and everything we want easy. We want it overnight. We want to be the instant YouTube celebrity. So I think the question that we have learned, I mean, at least I've learned over the years, is that it's the pain you're willing to sustain. It is not the easy days that make this happen. Sex schools and the one she's done across the world didn't come overnight, right? Design for Change now in 60 countries didn't happen overnight. It is that. And to have the joy in the passion, that's the fun. My husband, by the way, is a 9-time world billiards champion. You don't become a 9-time world billiards champion overnight. 35 years he spent only on a billiard table. And the one thing he taught me is that you have to find the beauty in monotony. You must understand it's about excellence. You chip away because you're curious and you want to know more and more. That's excellence. But we have to be worthy of it. And I think in each of us resides that. It's not the one person who becomes a world champion. It's those who are willing to have the stamina to take their idea forward tomorrow and the day after and the day after. So if I have to wish you one thing, I'm going to wish you stamina. That's all I'm going to wish you. You have the passion, but you need to have the stamina to be the next person who changes the world.
And in order to do that, I think while we all focus on the goal of learning, and that's the goal, and that's why we're in school, and that's what Kiran talks about, I would like to try to refocus us a little bit on a different goal. Why are we learning?
Yeah.
And that is accomplishment. That is, we're trying to do something, and that flows out of our passion. Whatever, it's going to be different for every single one of you, but let's think about getting things done. Let's think about accomplishing, and not just learning, but learning in order to accomplish. And there's a wonderful quote that I like from a Scottish philosopher. His name is Thomas Carlyle. In the 19th century, he said, "Nothing builds self-esteem and self-confidence like accomplishment." So it's not just that we want the schools to learn or we want you to learn. We do. but we want you to accomplish, to make change that you think is important to see in the world, that puts your passion into action in the world.
Exactly. And there is this also trying to help you to find, for you to feel accomplished, you need to find your sense of purpose, of course.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about, everyone's talking about purpose. Companies are in search of purpose. There is these focus groups of everyone meeting for the purpose. And this is all about personal purpose. This is what we do. This is trying to help you and just ignite, help you find that sense of purpose, which will fill you in when you accomplish in relation to that sense of purpose. And so they're all things connected. And by the way, I love listening to you when you put together effort and joy and passion just coming all together, because some people try to say that, oh no, when you put effort, there is no joy. No, there is a lot, because then you accomplish. So you kind of, things need to be looked at in a very different way. It's one of the things I think we're learning today.
What can help us find the purpose?
What can help you? Oh, that's a good one. That's for you, Kiran.
I don't know, really. I think it comes to you. I think from all your hits and misses and your trials and tribulations, you will find it. It's not a straight path to your purpose. It never is. Unless you are like Mozart or Sachin Tendulkar or Ronaldo,
Okay.
who are prodigious and they find it on the get-go. I remember I graduated as a designer. Before that, I wanted to be a doctor. Before that, I wanted to be an anthropologist. It's all those hits and misses. I kept trying. I kept tasting it. I kept trying it. And then finally, I became a mother. I think being a mother was really my passion for design, found purpose only after I became a mother in education. I fell in love with my son, and I said, oh my God, the world will know you. And then he goes to a school where nobody knew his name. So I think that the idea of my passion for design found purpose just by happenstance. It wasn't by design that I wanted to start a school at all. But it just happened, and I think by then you're cooking yourself and getting ready for that. I think that's what the world, it tests you. It constantly tests you. Are you willing to do this? Are you worthy of it? That's why it's a purpose and passion. Find a connection when you're worthy. And you have the right space in your heart and head to say that I'm willing to do. It's like a marathon race. It's never a 100-meter dash. And I think in that marathon race, you might get tired out, and then you'll get to do another thing. So you find that, and you'll find it by sometimes maybe something you try. That's why today in the morning, I don't know if one of the children who wanted to dance, and he said, oh my God, I can dance. I did everything. You tell me to do something, I am going to say, I am living up for life. I'm going to sign up for life. Who knows? I mean, there will be something you'll find that will fit you, and you'll say, I'd like to do this more and more and more. And sometimes finding a purpose is never very funny or happy. It's never happy to find a purpose because you need joy. And joy comes from the stomach. Happiness comes from the throat, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, seriously. Happiness is more transactional. You give me something, I'll be happy. And you don't give me, I don't be a friend.
Joyous.
But joy, you find it. Oh, it never goes away. So really, my other wish for you, to find joy.
And signing up for life, I think, is a very good one.
Yeah, you have to sign up for life. Nobody else cares, seriously. Nobody is watching you. Frankly, don't think of yourself so important. Oh, what will he think? What will she think? Nobody cares. Just lined up for life. Sure.
And it's actually about learning too, because to find your purpose, as you might meet your purpose, you might find it, but only if you're open to learning, to exploring, to failing, to trying, to really walking your whole journey, signing up for life, for your whole life, which is only yours.
Yeah.
So this thing about, we talk a lot about lifelong learning, etc., but there is a truth in this, because if you always want to learn, you have the appetite for learning, that you are humble, because you understand that you need to get better, because only those who are not humble don't feel they know everything, which is terrible in our times. So any times it's terrible, but nowadays it's impossible. So keep learning. That's what you wrote in the first book I got from you.
Okay.
Keep learning.
That's what I endorsed. Okay. I'm glad you asked that question, Daniela, because I have a perspective. Your purpose or your passion is not something hiding in a chair or hiding under your chair or hiding in a corner that you have to find somehow. It's a choice. You're going to have a set of experiences in life, and you're going to say, I like that. That really excites me. That gives me joy. That turns me on. It may not be the same thing all the time for the whole life, because people change. But it's really something that you have to make some effort to say, I want that. And I heard something really interesting recently that said, we often say there's like two choices, yes, I want to, or no. No, the two choices should be hell yes, or no, forget it. If you don't really want to do something, if you don't have a hell yes, then it's not worth doing, because that's where your passion comes out. That's how you find it and express it and do that. So I would say, if you can take away from this, find your hell yes that you want to do and do it.
All right, yes. So
All right, yeah, got it.
Okay, yeah.
There's a hell yes
Oh,
there,
no.
okay.
a question again for the three of you. What do you consider a quality education to be like? To be like?
We give that to Kiran.
She's always
We
first in
were
line.
just having a
Just follow our
conversation about
leader.
this. And you know, that's a very important, I'm glad you asked that question as well. You all have good questions because, hey, you go to SEC. But it's really important because the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, number 4, is a quality education for all. But that word quality is not clear to everybody. It means different things to different people. So I'm going to let Kiran talk about, because she just helped us understand better, what do you think of as a quality education?
Oh, too much pressure. You know, I think if we can capture certain ingredients that are universal, that are not bound by territory or language or community, I think those allow then equity. That means every child, whether they're under a tree, in a little village school, or in a place like SEC, right? If we can find those ingredients that with a little bit of mix and match, it can serve a healthy, nutritious, thriving diet for everybody, I think that's in some ways. And everything else is a bonus. You have a swimming pool in your school, hey, bonus. You're giving food for children, that's bonus. But at least from meeting children from 60 countries, in little places and in little corners, everybody wants to have their heart and their name known. So relationships. If you walk into a place and you feel safe, oh, that's for me quality education. Because only when you feel safe, you will learn. Everywhere in the world, you might have the biggest and most ambitious school, and if you feel unsafe, you will not learn. So safety is a measure of quality, right? So when you give yourselves and your peers that sense of safety, and you're not bullying somebody, you're not putting somebody down, that's quality education right there. So I think safety, so relationships. Relevance, meaning, do I know why I am learning, or will I say, teacher told me to learn this? So for me, relevance in learning. Do you find meaning? Every day when you walk into the class or when you walk into a session, do you know why you learned that? Or are you just told, turn to chapter 3, we're going to finish that? So I would say relevance will be the second ingredient. And I think the third is excellence. For me, craftsmanship is such a human attribute. No other creature, of course, some creatures, of course, I saw this pufferfish that does amazing stuff when they're paradise birds, but rigor, meaningful, deep craftsmanship of the work you do. You don't do it for anybody else at all. When you write a fantastic piece of paper, or you make a model, or you do a math sum, it's for you. You present a little bit about yourself to the world. At no point does anybody else benefit from that. First and foremost, it's you. So when you it's like you're crafting a little bit of yourself and gifting it to the world. I think crafts are rigor, meaningful rigor. Anywhere in the world, I have seen if these 3 ingredients are part of the mix, in some way we're nudging quality education. That is my answer.
No, no, you
You may
And I
take
would add to that, if I may, I would like you to come home from the end of a day of education and say, that was a good day.
Hell yeah.
I liked that day. I would go back tomorrow to get more of that. And that's not always what young people come home from school and say to themselves or to their parents. But if you really think it's worthwhile for you to have gotten this, whatever it is that you do during the day, and you want to go back tomorrow and get more of it and wish it happened on the weekends, that's what quality is. It's something that's so good, you want more of it.
Of course, I agree. And
Exactly.
Exactly. And you've set really the foundations of this quality education and how much it needs to resonate with each one of you, each member of the community, each person who comes to this place and space to learn. And I feel that there has to be a sense of course, of excitement and joy and effort, all that mixing together. And we were saying this morning that this terrible idea that schools prepare you for life, it seems like what you're doing here is not life. I mean, I think quality education is also about enjoying the journey. It's so much about enjoying the journey. This excitement that Mark was talking about, that I wish I could come back on a Saturday and a Sunday. Don't worry, we're not going to do this. But this feeling that it's not for something that's happening later, because life's right now, and because we've organized life this way, this ridiculous structure, like this is school and I'm getting ready for university, and then when I'm university I'm getting ready for workplace, and then when I'm in the workplace I'm getting ready for the next better job, and then you look back and life has happened. So I think it's about the whole excitement of the journey, and it has to resonate with you, and you are actually the center of this quality education. Without you in the center, there's no education, there's no quality, there's nothing. So, yeah.
As we were talking about university, do you consider it important to go to university?
Oh, we had this conversation.
That's a loaded one.
We talked about a lot
And
of things this morning.
I didn't hear the entire, what about university?
Do you
Is it
consider it
important?
important to go
How
to university?
important going
It
to
is to go.
university is.
Do you want to pick on this? We talked a little about this morning.
Well,
Not necessarily.
I have a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
He's going to have to he's going to decide right now whether he goes to university or whether he doesn't go to university, or whether he goes to university when he feels ready to go to university. Because one of the things that the universities do extremely well is that if you know what you want to learn, what you want to do, they have a lot of courses and preparation that will get you ready for that. That is a really good reason to go. If you have no idea, if your passion is still hiding under your chair, if you haven't figured out, well, what you get out of university is your peers. You'll get some nice people to talk to and to think about that. But you won't get the preparation and necessarily finding that thing. And so sometimes it may pay to wait.
And while you're on the topic of knowing what you want to do in university, I know a lot of us haven't really got an idea of what we want to be or what our goals are, and we just feel this pressure to choose and to decide all these options. And would you say it's important to have it clear already, or would you say that we have time to figure it out still, that we can learn along the way?
Well, if you're asking me, I would say you're going to figure it out when you figure it out. Because feeling under pressure to do it, if you don't do it, is not going to help you.
Yeah.
And then you have to think you'll be learning the whole of your lives in any structured or unstructured way. But this is very important. I mean, you will continue to learn the whole of your lives. And whether you're going in and out of the system, you're going to university now or later in life, whether you go back, whether you decide to learn on your own, you have plenty of ways to access information, you know that. Whether you want to be with peers, whether you want to have that social relation with others, whether... I think it's becoming so much more fluid. All this kind of this whole journey is not as structured as it used to be, thanks to actually the fact that you are changing the rules of this game that we set up many, many, many years ago. So I would say, is it good? Well, as Mark says, if you know what you want to do and it's the right place and it's a good place, and go for it. But you don't need to do it when you finish segundo de bachillerato. You don't need to do it straight away. You don't need to be absolutely sure what you want to do. So many students change after the first year in the university because they realize that maybe it wasn't the right choice. But maybe that's happened because they didn't take maybe the time or a gap year to do different things and explore different, look under the chairs for the passion a little more, be explorers a little more. But again, you go to university, you go out, and then you go in again, and you go somewhere else, and then, so it's have plenty of opportunities to learn, so you need to grab them.
Here's something that
Yeah, my daughter never went to university.
What?
My daughter. My son went to university. He took a gap year. Then he went undecided. And then he found his passion in music, so he's a music producer now. My daughter never went to university. She is a dancer. She's a type 1 diabetic. She started her own foundation. So I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all for everybody. Some people just find it. Like I said, I have so many students who graduated, knew exactly what they wanted. Somebody wanted to do pure math. Somebody said, I wanted to be an astronaut. Somebody said, I want to be a pilot. I kid you not, one person is going to land up in jail as well. But that's what they are. So they're so clear. And now universities are looking very kindly towards a gap year. They're recognizing children have been on such a treadmill for 15 years. They want them to breathe. They want them to learn a little bit about life and then come to university. So all your Ivy League colleges are saying, take a gap year. But for those of you who know your path, it works great. You get a peer group, you get minds to meet. Those who don't, and I think you have found your passion, I think it was never the same with us. We had to go. But I had a great university. I was very lucky. But not everybody is. So, but now, my God, so much, you are living in such a wonderful time. Make the most of it. And don't get pressurized.
You know, I would say that that the theme that I would love for you to come away with is how lucky you are.
Yeah, seriously. You're
is that this is a time, this is really the first time when people your age have the amount of information, the power, the capabilities that you have. Now, nobody's figured out exactly what to do with that yet, and that's part of what we're doing. But here's something you can get, and that you certainly can get at the sex school that you're attending, is you can start to figure out, who do I like to be with? Who do I like to work with? What kinds of people are those? And which ones, you know, would make a great peer group for me? Because that's what a college does, essentially. Yeah. It puts together, when it admits people, it tries to put together a group of peers, a class, they call that. Well, you can figure out a lot of that for yourself just by looking at your classmates and seeing what you do and who you like to be in groups with and who you like to do things with and create things with. And that's a very important thing that you could think about that will help you figure out that next steps in your life.
Find your tribe.
Find your tribe. Except the tribes fight a lot. You know,
against each other.
You don't want the tribes that fight. You want the ones that are good. You know, but find your peer group. Absolutely find your peer group of the people, because they will support you for your whole life. You will be happy being with them. We are a peer group. Yeah. We are that group, and that's why we've come. I've come from California, Kiran's come from India, and we're meeting in the middle, because that's how we feel. We love working with each other.
To be with you.
Yes.
Not a smile from any of you, seriously.
Oh, come on. Somebody sit up. They might not believe that you came from India to be here, and that you came from
I'm still
San
in jet lag
Francisco
right
to be
now.
here.
I should be fast
So
asleep.
this is totally true.
We would like to include the public by asking it if there is any questions that would like to be asked for our team on stage.
But with a smile.
Public.
It has to be with a smile. Sure.
You talked about how...
Do we have a mic for you? We have.
Say your name.
hello, my going to translate into me going to university? How is this, me finding my passion and developing this passion, help me going to get in? Because obviously there's entrance exams that I have to take when to university. So how is my passion for philosophy, my passion for mathematics, or my passion for art going to translate into a grade to get to university?
Do you want to take that?
No, I'll
Which
take
one
that
of you?
because here's something that I decided when I was, first of all, I'm 76 years old, so I've been around for a while. And I went through my education, I went through my undergraduate, I got a graduate degree, and then I was a musician for 10 years. And
I didn't know
I,
that.
yes,
Really? You too?
I was a
do
flamenco guitarist.
And I
That's
was
why
a
I
rock,
first
a
came
rock
to
band
Spain.
singer, lead singer in a rock band.
She worked in a rock
I'm
band.
no one.
You're a backup singer. Okay, good.
But here's where it comes in. At one point, at 32, roughly, I think the age was 32, I looked around and I said, you know, if I continue to be a lute player and a flamenco guitarist for the rest of my life, that won't be the kind of life I want. I certainly won't have the financial rewards that I want to have. I'm going to try to do something to see that I can get excited about. And I said, well, what could I do? One possibility is to see how I could relate to business, which I had never really thought too much about. So I said, okay, I'll try to go to business school, but I'll check. So I took a night course at something, and I said, okay, it looks pretty good. And I started reading the Wall Street Journal. I said, that looks interesting enough. And I decided that I was going to apply to business schools. Well, I had no business background, really. So I started studying. And you know what? You have to take a test to get into these schools, or whatever they called it, the graduate test or the graduate. And there was a lot of vocabulary on that test. Well, I spent a lot of time with my flip cards learning. So once I knew what I wanted to do, then I was motivated by the passion of wanting to do it to do a lot of work. It's just like in sports. Nobody wants to go out on the golf range and hit 100 balls, except that they want a good score when they play on the weekend, or whatever sport you do. We get motivated to do the work we need, then you're absolutely right, it takes preparation, when we make it our goal, when we decide that's what we passionately want to do. Does that help?
He doesn't sound convinced at all.
Well, I am convinced with the answer you gave, obviously.
I am convinced with the answer you gave, but if I find my passion, right? So the motivation to find my passion, and when I find my passion, will motivate me to study, to work, to fully realize my passion. Is that what you said, or did I not understand it correctly?
Well, here's what I would say. The first thing you have to do if you want to talk about finding your passion or deciding what it is, you have to get out of bed and do something, right? And do a number of things until you say, oh, I really like doing that, right? And if you're doing something you don't like, you switch. And I probably had 5, 6 careers just like Kiran had, and this is, so you look around till you find that thing. And then you say, okay, for now I choose that as my passion. It may not be for the rest of my life, but I choose it now. And then you start pushing and working towards that goal of whatever it is. But yeah, it's not like, well, I have to find it, and then I have to, and then I have to. No, you're looking for something that makes you say, hell yes. And when you find that thing that makes you say, hell yes, you say, oh, I want to get there. Do you want to do the preparation? Hell yes. And that's what passion is.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so in your experience that you've had redesigning schools and their methods and how we learn, what do you consider to be some of the difficulties, some of the challenges that we have to overcome?
To you, or?
When you're starting a school?
Yes, or generally to achieve that confidence, that empowerment.
Or trying off for school?
Well, I didn't come from education, so I had all the challenges to convince even the first group of parents to come to my school when I started. But you know, I think a very interesting thing happened for me. On the 18th of Jan 2001, I put the ad in the papers. I am starting a school. Please come. I must have got 15 phone calls. Now, to answer your question regarding why is it important, it's not just for the studying, right? The passion gives you courage to overcome all the times when you will question yourself. It's really not for university, frankly. So what happened on that day is 15 people called. Now, very easy, I could say, my God, only 15 people called, I'm not going to start a school, right? Then it gets even better. 15 people called. On the 26th of Jan 2001, I said, okay, I'm going to take these 15 people and show them I have a building. I'm not kidding. 26th of Jan at 8:45 in the morning, I'm getting ready to go to school with these 15 people, and an 8-point earthquake hit. On that day, 8:45 in the morning. Everything broke. The building collapsed. 100,000 people died. It was the biggest earthquake that had hit the state. Now you tell me, very easy for me to say, hey, heavens don't want it, I have an excuse out. 3 months down, I picked up a thing. The teacher who was going to join my school left. Not only left the city, left the country. The parents who's kind of, at least 10 of them left. They left. Whoever could leave Ahmedabad, the city, left. Because suddenly the city became a what they call zone 5 earthquake. Now you tell me, easy? When I opened up the school doors on the June of that year, 26 people bet on me. All of this I'm going to tell you is only this, that you are going to have earthquakes in your life. If that biggest one had collapsed my passion, my power, and made me scared, hell no, nothing would have worked. So I think what I'm trying to tell you is you don't find your passion for university, you find it for yourself. It gives you the courage to go over those times when your earthquakes will happen. And they are going to be a lot. So to answer your question, challenges, after you've had an 8-point earthquake, everything is a breeze. And that's what you need to understand. It's not going to be easy. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but man, hell yeah, it's going to be worth it. So find that because it's for you. It's for nobody else. It's not for university. It's not for an entrance exam. It's for you to find out what will keep you awake, what will keep you bothered, what will keep you waking up every single day to make some dent in life. That's why you find your passion. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would add something that just occurred to me. It's not like this passion is this box, this thing that you name. It's what you are passionate about every day at that day. So that's why it can change. It's who you are inside you. It's not that, well, I'm passionate about art or I'm passionate about, I want to create art. If that's how you feel that day, then that's your passion. And hopefully you'll find something that you feel multiple days. And then you know it's a long-term passion and that you could pursue it and do the kind of things we were talking about. But it's not like a little object that's out there for you to find. It's you. It's what you care about. It's what you get excited about.
And what gives you courage. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Once you find it, nobody will ever tell you you're lesser off. And that courage gives you shamelessness. So you think parents were excited about our program? Not at all. Oh, you don't give exams. Oh, you don't give tests. Oh, you don't give nursery rhymes. What is you doing? The other school is doing it. I said, go to the other school. I did not know everything I wanted to do when I started, but I hell yeah knew what I didn't want to do. So sometimes that's also your passion. You might not know what you want, but you have to be really certain what you will not do. And that gives you courage again. That gives you strength to answer all those questions. And you know the person that will question you the most is you. No, not your neighbor, not your friend. You will be the one questioning yourself all the time. Am I worth it? Am I this? And then your passion, or whatever you call this, a friend of mine started something amazing. He used to call it the kira. That means it's like a little burrowing insect that wakes you and makes you a little uncomfortable every day. That you have to wake up because you have to do something about it. And that, you will find, that will give you the courage to wake up yet another day feeling, hell yeah, this is going to be a tough day, but man, it's going to be a great day. So I go to sleep quite well every day. It's a tough job, but after an 8-point earthquake, bring it on.
Well, I know our job is definitely worthwhile
Yeah.
and touching the lives of so many. And I think in this note, unfortunately, we need to wrap up. But if there's something I've listened to is this purpose or this passion that fueled your
One last question.
Your courage.
Who's brave enough?
is there in we have 3 minutes left.
I think there was a question.
So, do you think that the school could help us to find our own passion?
You know,
that's what
my
we
school
have.
never did, but I was very lucky to be around people around me who kind of kept pushing me. So I don't know where you'll find it from. Maybe from a butterfly. I don't know. You just be awake. Just be open to your life. You'll find it.
Just be awake.
But SEC will help you find it, right?
That's part of the whole week of this week of growing empowered. Because we want to learn to do things different. The way we wanted to do things differently for over 100 years at SEC.
100 years?
Over 100. First school dates back to 1892.
Wow,
So
this
that
is
wasn't me though,
awesome.
but for sure. But
Wow.
it's so we say we have this tradition in innovation, in change, in thinking differently, in thinking what you need, thinking what we need as a community, thinking how we can grow differently, and help you. Now it's about growing empowered and finding the sense of purpose. And as you were saying, this passion that fuels your courage. And I think after this session, we all feel so much more empowered, and we taking on our own responsibility as a school and as educators to help you. And I hope you've taken your responsibility of your own lives and also responsibility of helping us. So we come together and we co-create something that's really worthwhile. So really, thank you to my very dear friends. Thank you to our very dear students. And today was just, a phenomenal day for learning.
Thank
and
you.
becoming.
Yay.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you and thank you so much.
Not at all. Thank you.
Yes.